Welcome to Seattle. Come on, the haven's not far.
What year is this?
The year 2024. When did you...
I have been asleep for 100 years.
Now there's a thing. Well then, welcome to the 21st century.
Welcome everybody, this is Happy Dynast, and after 21 years of waiting, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines finally has a sequel. Was the wait worth it? That's exactly what we are talking about today. And first, in my review, I would like to mention some positives. So first positive is that the game looks really good. The lighting, the environment, everything is visually spot on, and I have no complaints there. The combat, even though I have some issues with it, and I will mention them later, I actually liked it. It's fast, it's cinematic, it makes you feel like the most overpowered badass in the world, but you can still get killed in seconds if you stop paying attention. The balance keeps every fight engaging. The skills hit hard, especially if you play as Ventru. The abilities create openings on stronger enemies, so you can tear away massive chunks of their health, and that feels genuinely empowering. I also enjoyed some of the boss fights, even if the story wasn't that engaging overall, in my humble opinion. These bosses were interesting enough to pull me back and make me care again. At least for a while. And there were few moments that stood out. Like when I was going through certain bar and there was like this huge crowd of mind-controlled humans surrounding the dance floor, and they started attacking me, not all at once, mind you, just 2 or 3 at the time. And at that point in the game, my powers were suppressed, my healing was quite limited, and even when they were just humans, so they barely hurt me and went down quickly, I suddenly thought like, oh shit, I can actually lose this fight. They are chipping at my health so slowly, but there is so many of them. But sadly, the game ruined that moment right after by dropping all of them at once dead and then repeating the same encounter 2 more times. But in that first moment, it was genuinely cool. That's it for my positives, and unfortunately I really want to apologize, but I honestly cannot come up with any more positives to mention. So let's move on to the negatives. If you have been following any of the discourse around this game's release, you might have heard people say that the RPG elements lack depth. But honestly, that is understatement of the century, in my opinion. The RPG elements here are so minimal that I would straight up change game's genre to action adventure. To me, this game looks like some unholy combination of Avowed and the Tales from the Walking Dead for some reason. And that is a massive problem, in my opinion, because if a sequel to such a legendary role playing game isn't even a role playing game anymore, then this title completely fails to be true sequel to the first Bloodlines. So, which RPG mechanics even are in the game? And we have a very limited leveling system that just gives you breakpoints until you unlock all of your clan abilities. There are only about 6 abilities per clan, I think. So that's not much at all. And after that, your level basically stops mattering. I did not feel like my character was getting any stronger once I had those abilities unlocked. And in my opinion, leveling became completely pointless at that stage. Then these abilities are basically just additional moves you can use in combat. They have little utility outside of a combat, like possession to drag a civilian into an alley so you can feed on him. But overall, these perks do not add any meaningful role playing depth. There are dialogue options in the game, but they basically don't matter at all. Roleplay wise, these choices are the only way to shape your character. You pick one of three personality types to respond with, but outside of that, these choices have zero impact on the story, on quests, on how characters react to you. It's just another mechanic that pretends you have influence, but you really don't. The game even tries to trick you into thinking your choices matter. For example, with that urban youth character Max, you can either tell him to go die in a ditch and that you don't care about him, or you can send him to the Anarchs. And no matter what option you pick, he will still shows up later at the Anarch's base and gives you a quest like everything is fine, your consequences matter, do not think about it. You will probably do not notice this until the next playthrough. It is clearly designed to pretend your decision had consequences, but in reality, it changes absolutely nothing. A more outrageous example happens later in the game when you are sent to kill a leader of Anarchs. Everyone is telling you that you shouldn't do it, so for science, I chose to kill her anyway. And even then, the game simply doesn't let you do that. You cannot kill her. The game explicitly tells you that you are making an important story choice, and then it completely ignores that choice. So, once again, dialogue options do not matter in this game at all, even when the game tries to convince you otherwise. Another thing connected to dialogue, when you pick certain dialogue options, you sometimes get a pop up in the corner of the screen saying that this character is now aroused or sad or disgusted. But just like in the other game series that use that exact same kind of pop ups, this mechanic is only there to trick you into thinking your dialogue choices have some kind of effect. They don't change anything in the story or in how the characters behave. It's completely meaningless. To be clear, yes, there are few real choices that affect the ending. But these moments are so rare, you can count them probably on one hand. So my criticism still stands. Outside of those very few exceptions, dialogue options have no impact and are just pretending to give you agency. There are also costumes in the game, but I don't know if I should count this as an RPG mechanic because these are purely cosmetic and have no impact on gameplay whatsoever. And from what I saw, especially for Ventru, most of those outfits look terrible. I've heard other clans might have better options, but I can confirm that because you get the new outfits when you purchase ability from the ability when you purchase ability in clan perk 3. And because I was only investing into Ventru abilities, I never saw the other outfits in my playthrough. Uh, there are also mechanics that didn't make it into the sequel, so to say. In the first Bloodlines, you had real role-playing mechanics like weapons, inventory, character stats, humanity system, feeding system, and different approaches to missions. Here, almost all of that is gone. You can't drain civilians dry anymore, the game won't let you. You can execute regular NPCs, only enemies. Game will just remove the button pop up on civilian NPCs, so you can't do it at all. So a huge part of interacting with the world as a vampire is removed. There is no humanity system, so the beast is gone. One of the core pillars of the Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness universe is not even here. You never risk losing control or feeding too much or losing yourself to the monster side. Masquerade violation are basically instant stake in the hard game over. They didn't think like to add maybe hunters to chase you or some escalation where justiciars come at you. There are no real consequences, just a pop-up saying you are dead now. And you get stake into the hard second before that. But there are also no meaningful alternative paths for missions. If the game says go through this door, that's the only way. If there is a vent, that vent is the only path. No player creativity allowed. But wait, there's stealth. Yes, but stealth doesn't work as playstyle. Even if you sneak flawlessly to locked door, you can open it because enemies are nearby. And trying to stealth take down everyone? Well, some enemies cannot be taken down without triggering combat. So stealth is fake, choices are fake, and player freedom is fake in this game. And that would be all for covering like RPG mechanics in this game. I think you get what I'm trying to say. So earlier I said I liked the combat, and I do, but I also have big problems with it. My main issue is that every single encounter ends up feeling the same. You have your fist and your abilities, that's it. You will never get a weapon unless you unless you will use telekinesis to grab it and empty it onto the enemies, and they always need to bring it, so you are able to do that. You will never upgrade the damage of your punches, you will never improve the damage of your spells. The only real change you can make in combat is unlocking abilities from the other clans, and if you do that, you basically destroy any hope this game had for replayability. And if I'm being honest, the developers probably knew almost nobody would replay this game, so they just let you unlock everything regardless. So we are basically the same in combat for the whole game, and so are the enemies. Very early on, you meet most of the enemy types, and then you just fight them again and again in different arenas in almost every mission. And like I said before, you can't bypass them, you are forced into the same encounters repeatedly. The only real refreshment in combat formula are the boss fights, like I mentioned before. They at least have some unique gimmicks that breathe a little bit of fresh air into that experience. I also want to mention that combat didn't really become annoying for me, and the reason is that we are basically running around as a glass cannon. If you make one bad dodge into the wrong corner, you get surrounded by enemies and beaten to death like a vampire piñata. So even though encounters repeat a lot, there is still that high risk, high reward feeling in every fight. And that's what kept me going and enjoying fighting in this game. Mm, yeah, that's it. Now I want to talk about my criticism of the story as a whole. I'm not getting into the spoilers in case some of you want to try it yourselves, but I will mention a few events without context so you understand what I mean. Like I said before, there are few moments in the story where you can influence something, but otherwise everything is strictly linear. My biggest problem with the story is the pacing. The game has some of the worst pacing I have ever seen. First reason for that is that game is set in 2024, yet nobody uses phones. So you are constantly backtracking. The gameplay loop in this game is like you wake up, go meet a prince, run 200 meters, he sends you somewhere, run 200 to 600 meters, fight in that area, complete the task, and run all the way to the prince. And when you do that, you will run another 200 meters back home to sleep. And this is literally every mission. Sometimes you don't wake up and you don't go to sleep because there is more mission in that night, but otherwise everything is pretty much the same. Imagine how much time would be saved if people just used phones. I know it sounds like a small thing, but when every mission is built like this, it gets annoying fast. And the city you are running through is empty. There is genuinely nothing to do here except collect blue symbols on the walls for experience which you don't need because leveling is useless, or get attacked by random enemies on rooftops and defeat them for no reward. The city is nothing more than a backdrop here. Honestly, if the game just gave you a hideout and a map of locations through which you could teleport to through taxi, like in the first Bloodlines, the quality would probably improve. So, to summarize this short, the game forces you to constantly run around, even though developers could easily remove a lot of that running. And running around the city is not fun because there is nothing to do and nothing interesting to see. And I even think they doing it on purpose to increase artificially length of the game. Uh, like, let's talk about the greatest pacing problem of this game, and he's called Fabian. His character living in your head from the absolute beginning. The main story is relatively okay until you need to go to sleep because then it's Fabian's flashback time. And it's not like in other games where you see a short cutscene. No, these flashbacks are actual gameplay sections, usually around an hour long, where the real story is put on hold and you play as Fabian investigating crimes because he was a detective. And you will do fun activities like standing in a room with X-ray vision, X-ray vision, X-ray vision, and trying to interact with every glowing object in a room. Uh, another fun ability, another fun activity you can do as Fabian is talking to witnesses in conversations you cannot fail and running around the city, but even worse than in the main game because now you can even jump on rooftops. and there is no combat for Fabian. These sections usually have multiple crime scenes to investigate, and they are very boring. You learn almost nothing important for the story from them, and the few important details could be shown in 2 short cutscenes. If I should compare this to another game, Fabian flashbacks are like those Mary Jane stealth missions in modern Spider-Man games, but even worse. I swear the developers are only adding padding just to make story longer. Fabian is just another modern game character type forced into the story, and I have no idea why. He is that kind of character who is supposed to throw endless exposition at the player, like Cav from Forspoken or Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk. Maybe the purpose of this character is to control the player's behavior so the developers can control what the player does even more. Fake choices and a completely non-interactive sandbox are apparently not enough here. Now we also need Fabian nagging you into picking the options the dev want, because otherwise you might start noticing how fake the RPG elements truly are. Okay, enough about Fabian. The story also has other issues. You are a vampire elder, yet everybody treats you like you are some harmless fledgling. Nothing you say is taken seriously, and the only thing the story allows you to do is to shut up and follow orders. None of the characters here grow onto me. Honestly, I was happy whenever they finally stopped talking, because sometimes developers arbitrarily decide that certain dialogue cannot be skipped. I don't know why. Maybe prevent the meme where when you will see final boss and you are asking like who that is, you know. uh, what else I can say? There is also a moment with a character who eventually betrays you. That character is good looking and nice to you, but I was trying to be as evil as possible to see what game would allow me to do. So I never really talked to that character, and I was rude to that character every time. Then, when that character dies, my character acts devastated, even though I treated them terribly the entire game. So the betrayal didn't land at all. Game was not prepared for my actions. Uh, and what is whereas the game or the developers decided how I should feel, ignoring all of my choices. And there are other characters who are rude to you, and in a good RPG you could threaten them, confront them, maybe even start the boss fight early at the disadvantage if you wanted to. But this game is not a real RPG. I cannot overstate that enough. And last problem with pacing I have are the side quests. Usually, I don't shy away from side quests in RPGs, like in the first game when you could find the missing teen blood girl and return her to her boyfriend, or track down a bounty hunter only to end up fighting a deranged prosthetic manufacturer. That was actual, that were actual side quests. Well, in this sequel, you play as a vampire elder whose status is about every other vampire in Seattle. So you would expect important and fitting side quests, right? Obviously. Okay. Instead, what you get is, for example, one quest told me to go sniff out a mortal murderer who killed his brother. So I did that and ripped his heart out in the middle of the town square. Next quest was like find 3 rich people for a vampire to snack on, because apparently she can tell the difference between poor blood and rich blood. I'm not kidding about this. Like, that's ridiculous. So I would say the quality of side quests in this game is somewhere below Bethesda Radiant quests. And what was the final nail in the coffin for side quest in this game for me was when they decided to make me deliver a package. Like nothing more to it. You just came up to this old lady in the bookstore and she will give you package, like go on and deliver it to the main building. Uh, like honestly, after that I gave up on side quest completely. You have a vampire elder as your protagonist, and the game thinks the appropriate side content for them is to go deliver packages. I don't want to go on a tangent, so let's summarize. Side quests in this game are pure slop padding designed to waste your time and not give you any fun. That's how I would say it. Next point of my critique is about the technical state of this game. It's not properly optimized, and I don't think my PC is at fault. I experienced crashes, the bad ones, where the game stays frozen on your screen, so you can even use Ctrl-Alt-Delete to shut it down. And it even crashed my OBS, causing me to lose hours of recorded footage. Then there is stuttering. It happens randomly, but most often when the game needs to load another location or when enemies suddenly turn hostile, and sometimes it seems to happen just for no reason. I don't know. I tried lowering resolution and graphics settings at absolute minimum, but stuttering continued like I changed nothing. So again, I really don't think my PC is the issue here. I had similar problems in other Unreal Engine games like Shadow of Chernobyl or Chronos the New Dawn. So I fully blame optimization here. I have nice custom built gaming PC, which is almost new, so this should not be happening. Lastly, there are some modern design choices in this game that didn't feel right to me. First, your protagonist has almost same body model whether you pick female or male, just a different head. I don't know if that's because of production shortcuts being covered by messaging or simply messaging driving the design. Then you look at the factions and every single one has a woman in charge. That again seems to me like a choice driven by messaging. The outfits are another example, especially for Ventru. They look honestly ugly and do not match the clan aesthetic of power and elegance at all. Like, they are seriously disgusting. If you didn't see them, just go on now and Google them, okay? They are ugly. Then there was this character in the first game called Damsel. And vampires are not supposed to age. That's a very basic lore rule, but her new look ignores that. She looks decades older than she should. And that's being generous if I don't point out other obvious issues. The anarchs are portrayed like they are morally perfect, and you are not allowed to harm them, even if your character would want to. And the game simply ignores your choice. I noticed that this faction is treated as much more protected than other factions in the game. Some female characters look very androgynous, and that doesn't really match the seductive, supernatural style the franchise is known for. And there are more examples, but the point is, modern ideas were clearly pushed into the game in a ways that clash with what fans expect from a Vampire the Masquerade experience. Even though it seems some of it was toned down under pressure, what remains here is still very visible. So, to sum it all up, we have a game that looks really good with combat that can feel rewarding thanks to that high risk, high reward dynamic. But after that, well, we are missing almost every essential RPG element. Too many core mechanics from the first game are gone. The city is empty with constant backtracking for no reason when phones clearly exist in year 2024. The story pacing gets killed by hour-long Fabian flashbacks. Side quests are insulting for an elder vampire, in my opinion. Characters don't react to how you act, and the technical state is horrible. You get crashes, you get stutters from hell, I guess. And on top of the modern design choices that feel completely out of place for Vampire the Masquerade, and this just stops feeling like Bloodlines at all. So I'm not going to tell you my rating. I just presented you the game as I see it after I completed it. And I ask you, was the 21-year wait worth it? And well, if I should answer that question, I would say that maybe in another 21 years, we finally get the real Bloodlines 2. I thank you all for watching. I hope I will see you in my next video. If you would like me to review some other game, please let me know in the comments. If you want, like and subscribe. And thank you for watching, and goodbye.